So now let's do a significance test for means, and this is problem 27 on page 398 in the 13th edition. And we're going to use a data set from the book this time, just so that you can see how that works. So we want to test the claim that the adult female population has a mean diastolic blood pressure level less than 90 millimeters of mercury. So a diastolic blood pressure above 90 is considered hypertension or high blood pressure. So we're going to use 0.05, and we want to, can we conclude that none of the adult females in the sample have hypertension? That's very interesting. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's do our 6-step test. So again, we're going to start with our null hypothesis, and that's step 1. So our null hypothesis is that the mean, and you always use mu, remember your hypotheses are always written in basis of parameters, and we want to say, and here we go, test the claim that the adult female population has a mean blood pressure less than 90, but remember in our null hypothesis, it's always an equal to statement. And millimeters of mercury are the units for blood pressure. Our alternative hypothesis is going to be mu equal, isn't equal, is less than 90. It says use a 0.05 significance. Alpha equals 0.05. And then in step 3 is where I would summarize the data. And I'll show you what I mean by that. It's nothing unusual. Let's go to StatCrunch. So I want to go to StatCrunch, and I want to do, I think I need to go back a little further. Let's go back to StatCrunch on my Stat Lab, and I want to use data sets from my textbook. And so I am going to do, this was body data. And I want to find women, and I want to do diastolic. So let's see what gender is. I'm going to make this bigger. Okay, 1 is men, 2 is women. So we've got to do a little bit of adjusting here. So data, I want to do data, arrange, split. I want to do diastolic, and I want to split it by gender. There's what I want to do. And let's open it in a new data table. Okay. Great. So here in my first column are my diastolic readings for women. In the second column are diastolic readings for men. That's exactly what I want to do. So now I'm going to do stat, and this is T-stats, 1 sample with data. And so we want to do the 0 diastolic, that's for women. We want to say that our mu is equal to 90, that our alternative hypothesis is our mu is less than 90, And this is what we want to do. So let's do compute. And here's our data. And I want to show you this. Look at our t-statistic. That's huge for a t-statistic. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to do stat summary statistics columns, and I'm just going to do the zeros diastolic because that's what we're interested in. And this has the stuff I want, and let's compute. So we know that there's 147 in our sample, that the mean is 70.16. Okay, this is the kind of thing, let me just do this. I'm going to use my snipping tool, and I'm just going to snip this, and I'm going to put that in my step 3. And I know it's teeny weeny here, make it just a little bit bigger, but I don't want to take up too much space on my, oh, it's not really straight either, is it? Well, you get the idea of what I want to do. So then we want to do step 4. We've already done it in StatCrunch, but I'm going to do a t-test of means. And when I do a t-test of means, I like to put my formula in here. T equals my mean minus the mean of the null hypothesis, which would be the 90, and that'll be over my standard deviation of my sample, which we find up here, over the square root of n, which will be 147. Now, I don't need to do that calculations because StatCrunch did that for me. So let's go back to StatCrunch, and I'm going to snip that. And you can find the snipping tool in accessories, and I always pull mine down to my toolbar because it's really quite handy to have easy access to. Now let's go back to my whiteboard, and I'm going to paste my results here. So you can see we get a very, very, very large t-statistic, and our p-value is very small. So what I'd like to see in step 4 is a statement of how your p-value compares to your alpha level. So my p-value is less than alpha, therefore this is statistically significant. And when it's statistically significant, my step 5 says reject our null hypothesis. So then step 6 is our summary statement, and our summary statement can read something like, there is sufficient evidence that the mean diastolic, I'm just going to abbreviate that, blood pressure is less than 90 millimeters of mercury. Now the second question, can we conclude that none of the females have high blood pressure? No, because we're dealing with averages and not individuals. So can we conclude that none of the adult females have hypertension? The answer to that little question is no. I hope this helps.